Hey, what's going on everybody? So today I'm going to show you how to set up firewall rules between your different VLAN interfaces on an edge router so that you can segregate your traffic and networks to not be able to access everything. So basically in the last video we set up three VLANs, VLAN 10, 55, and 100, or home, Internet of Things, and guest. So all of these are hanging off our switch connected to our edge router with our virtual interfaces. Now, right now, every network has access to every other network because by default, our edge router is providing routing between the networks. That's its job. It's a router. It's supposed to be doing that. However, we want to lock this down to where our home network can get to everything, but our other networks cannot get to home network. So if you have some kind of malicious device on your Internet of Things network, like your Nest or whatever, it gets a virus, it's not going to be messing with all of your important stuff on your home day-to-day network because it doesn't have direct access to it. Same with the guest network. You don't want your friend Bob who comes over and wants to watch Archer all day long just start logging into all your network equipment or trying to access your file shares and go through all your crap. You want to keep him separate. So that's what I'm going to be showing you today, is setting up some firewall rules on the Edgerouter X to segregate these things. So first off, let's go to the Firewall NAT tab and go to the Firewall Policies tab. Now, by default, you're going to see these two firewall rule sets in there, WAN in and WAN local. And if you don't know about these default rule sets, basically it's just an allow established related and drop invalid state. So basically what these things are doing is they're allowing your traffic that you create to go out to the internet, create a session, and just work like normal. But it's not allowing anything from the public internet to just make a connection into your home network. So that's what this is allow established related means. And then invalid state, drop anything invalid. So these are your basic firewall rules. Now to set up our firewall rules, we need to go up to here to add rule set. So give it a name. We're going to call this one guest. We're going to apply this to our guest VLAN. And our default action is going to be to drop traffic. So anything that does not pass the rules that we're going to put in here is going to be dropped. It's not going to be allowed. So now we go over to the actions drop down next to guest and edit rule set. Now here's where we're going to add in our rules. Now the first ones we want to add are the established related and invalid state commands. So the first one is going to be accept all protocols. If we go to advanced, then we check established and check related. And this is all we need to do for this rule. Hit save. So now we have this accept rule, and that's anything that is established from within this network we're going to apply it to, which is the guest network. Going out, it's going to allow all of that traffic, and it's going to allow related traffic coming back in. So when you establish a TCP connection between a guest PC and a server on the internet, it's going to allow that stream because you initiated it from inside the network. Now beyond that, we're going to add another rule for accept. And we're going to keep that as all protocols, except we're going to go to the source tab and we're going to type in a source address that we want to allow into this network. So what do we want to access our guest network? Well, 192.168.100, no, not 100, 10.0/24. So that is the network for our home VLAN. So we want the home network to be able to access all of our other networks. So we put the network address in here to allow it. And we don't need to put anything to the destination tab because this essentially just means anything coming from this network address is going to be allowed to anywhere here. So we can just save it at this point. And that's really all we need to do here because we only want the home network to access it. And what this is saying is anything established related is going to be allowed. So anything originating within the guest network to go out, allowed. And it's going to allow anything from our home network to also come in, but anything that does not specifically relate to those two rules is going to be dropped. After we create these rules, we have to go to the interfaces tab and assign it to an interface. So since we named it guest, we're going to put it on our guest VLAN interface, which was 0.100, and we're going to put it the direction of out. Now the direction is pretty confusing, at least if you're not used to firewall rules. So this is saying that anything going out of that interface towards the PCs in the guest network is going to get these rules applied to it. This does not concern any traffic that is actually coming into the router. So anything originating from a PC in the guest network going up through the router into the public internet or wherever is not even going to look at these rules. So technically at this point, a PC in the guest network could try to initiate a connection to something in the Internet of Things network, and the traffic would get there, but on the way back, it's going to be blocked. as long as it's not a TCP session. This will make sense later. We'll go ahead and save this rule set, and that is our guest policy. Now let's add another rule set, and we will name this one Internet of Things. So IoT, default action drop, save, go to edit rule set, and add a new rule to accept, advanced, established, related. Go ahead and save that rule, add a new rule, accept, go to the source tab, and we're going to put in the IP for our home network. So 192.168.10.0/24. Don't need to worry about a destination. Go ahead and save that rule. And we're going to add a second rule to allow traffic from the guest network. So for whatever reason, I want our guests to be able to access Internet of Things. So 100.0/24 as the source network. Save that. And there's our rules for our Internet of Things policy. Go over to the Interfaces tab, select the Internet of Things interface, which is 0.55, direction out. Save the rule set. And then one last rule set, we're going to name it Home, default action drop, save, edit the rule set, add a new rule, and we're going to accept, advanced, established, related, and save. Now for this rule set, we're not going to add any other rules because this is our home network. We don't want any of the other networks able to access it. So by default, only things that originate from within this home network are going to be allowed through. So let's go ahead and apply that to the interface, 0.10 in the direction of out, and save the rule set. And that's basically all the configuration you need for this. So these rules are basically saying that our home network is able to access anything on guest and Internet of Things, but Internet of Things is not able to access either of the home or the guest networks. It's only able to access the internet, and our guest network is only able to access the Internet of Things network and the internet. So let's go ahead and test this. Let's hop on our command prompt here. So this computer that we're on is within the home network, so we should be able to ping the IPs of the hosts in guest and Internet of Things. So if you remember their addresses from the last video, 192.168.100.10 is something in our guest network. And you can see we're getting replies. And if we ping 192.168.55.10, something in the Internet of Things network, we should also get a reply, but it doesn't look like we are. So let's hop on that virtual machine and see if it's still running. Okay, and we are able to ping our Internet of Things device. Actually, the reason it was failing and the reason that this video jumped was because I had a Windows Firewall issue. I had Windows Firewall enabled on that virtual machine, and that was blocking the pings. So now you can see we can ping from our home network into the guest or Internet of Things network as well as the guest network. So right now, our rules are working. Our home network is allowed to access everything else. So let's move over to a virtual machine in the guest network. And again, if you remember from the last video, this is our Linux machine. You can see the IP 192.168.100.10. This is our guest network PC. If we try to ping 192.168.55.10, we get replies. So we have access to the Internet of Things network. Now, if we try to ping 192.168.10.10, we should get nothing. And we're not, because what's happening is our traffic is going out of our VLAN 100 interface. It's getting routed over to VLAN 10s, or the home network, and when it tries to go out of that VLAN interface, it's getting blocked by the default drop rule. So you can see we transmitted 28 packets, received 0. So we have no communication making it back and forth between the guest network and the home network. That's what we like to see. So let's move over to our Internet of Things virtual machine, the one that had the firewall issue, and try to ping both of those. Whoa, forget that doesn't work. So ping 192.168. We'll try the home network 10.10, and we're not getting anything. So traffic's being blocked from Internet of Things to the home network. Stop that and try to ping 192.168.100.10, and those are also failing. So Internet of Things device is not able to ping anything on the home network or the guest network. But if we do a ping 8.8.8.8, Google's public DNS, we get replies. Move over to the guest network, try the same thing, 8.8.8.8, get replies, as well as our home network, 8.8.8.8, get replies. So every network still has access to the public internet, but these rules that we put in place to stop traffic between our home networks are working. And that is how you segregate traffic between your newly created VLANs. If you have any questions about any of this, just leave a comment below. I'll look at it, try to answer your questions. I'm not a real big firewall guy. There are other rules you can put in place here. One kind of flaw here is access to your router. So let's just hop back on the Internet of Things device. If we bring up Google Chrome and we browse to 192.168.55.1, which is the default gateway for Internet of Things, we are prompted with a login screen. So we can still see our router's login page from these networks. Now, a quick way around that, if you're super concerned with your login page being visible to these networks, is just to drop into the command line interface. Oh, why is this not working? There we go. Log in, enter configure mode, and do a set service GUI listen address, and specify only the address that you want to be able to access your router on. So we'll use 192.168.10.1 and then do a commit and a save. I guess we got to reconnect for the save. Well, we committed it anyway. Refresh the page. Now if we go back to our virtual machine and refresh the router's login page, site can't be reached. So that's the easy way to block access to your router's login page from these networks, but we can still access it from here. We were using 1.1 to access it before. So 192.168.10.1, and we're able to get into it. So now that is all. That's how you do your firewall rules. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you learned something. Like I said, if you have questions, just leave a comment down below. I'll try to answer it. Other than that, happy networking.